Hello students, in this video we see the concept of two-phase locking protocol. One protocol that ensures serializability is two-phase locking protocol. This protocol requires that each transaction issues lock and unlock request in two phases. First phase is growing phase and second phase is shrinking phase. That's why the name is two-phase locking protocol. So whatever are the transactions get executed, in those transactions the locks get acquired in growing phase and then they are released in shrinking phase. So in two-phase locking protocol there are two phases, growing phase and shrinking phase. In growing phase, as the name suggests, a transaction may obtain the locks but not release any lock, and in shrinking phase a transaction releases the lock but it may not obtain any new lock. Initially a transaction is in growing phase and the transaction acquires the locks as needed. Once the transaction releases a lock, it enters into the shrinking phase and it can issue no more lock request. This scenario is described in the besides figure, that is T3 and T4 transaction. So T3 is what? Lock XB, read B, B is equal to B minus 50, write B. Then remember lock XA, read A is equal to A plus 50, write A. So in up to this, in this transaction we have not unlocked any of the atom. We are just locking the atoms, and at the end of the transaction we are unlocking those atoms. Lock XB, then lock XA, and at the end of the transaction we are unlocking those data items. In T4 also, lock SA, read A, lock SB, read B, display A plus B, unlock A and unlock B. So in these transactions, initially the transaction is in growing phase and then it will enter into shrinking phase. So this is how two-phase locking protocol of the transaction works. Two-phase locking does not ensure the freedom from the deadlock. So how it does not give us the freedom from deadlock? See the transaction T3 and T4. Lock XB, read B, B is equal to B minus 50, write B. T4 transaction is lock SA, read A, lock SB, again lock XA. Now in this particular type of schedule, we are not releasing or we are not unlocking any of the transactions. And if we don't unlock any of the transactions for infinite number of times, then no other transaction can access the B account and A account. So deadlock may occur in the system. So we can observe that the transaction T3 and T4 are two phase in schedule 2, but they are deadlocked. In addition to being serializable, schedules should be cascadeless, and cascading rollback may occur under two-phase locking protocol. So cascading rollback may occur in two-phase locking protocol. So what is cascading rollbacks? Cascading rollbacks can be avoided by modification of two-phase locking protocol called strict two-phase locking protocol. Now what exactly strict two-phase locking protocol? This protocol requires not only that locking be two-phase, but also that all exclusive mode locks taken by a transaction be held until that transaction commits. So all the exclusive mode locks are locked until the transaction get commit. So that is strict two-phase locking protocol. This requirement ensures that any data written by an uncommitted transactions are locked in exclusive mode but until the transaction commits, preventing any other transaction from reading that data. So here at a time only one transaction may acquire the data. Another variant of two-phase locking is rigorous two-phase locking protocol, in which all the locks be held until the transaction commits. In strict two-phase locking protocol, only exclusive mode locks are held until the transaction commit, but in rigorous two-phase locking protocol, all the locks are held until the transaction commits. We can easily verify that with rigorous two-phase locking, transaction can be serialized in the order in which they commit. So in this way we have seen what exactly two-phase locking protocol is and what are different variations of two-phase locking protocol.